For 2,500 miles, the Pacific Crest Overland route follows the Sierra Nevada and Cascade mountain ranges, starting at the Mexican border and ending just miles from Canada. My friend Andreas and I had started it in February, crossing the Southern California deserts before running into snow just outside of Bishop, California. Determined to finish it, I was back at the end of May with my wife Elizabeth to try again. We're back on the Pacific Crest Trail, and last night we stayed out on that campsite at the end of the road with the fantastic views all the way around, and we've come up here today to where we got stuck last time, and you can see that things have changed. Lots of things have changed. First of all, it's the end of May. There's no snow on the ground, so we can make it through, but the more observant of you may notice a couple of things have changed with the truck. It has definitely changed color. We have good suspension now, and we've got armor, and more importantly, we've got a winch right on the front there on the CBI bumper. So if we do come across a couple of patches of snow, I have a little bit more confidence as long as there's some trees around to winch off. And it is likely that as we continue on this trip, we are going to come across some snow, especially as we go further north into the mountains in Oregon and Washington. But we'll have to see how it goes. Things were looking good. It was our first time out in our freshly modified truck. The weather was warm, the sun was shining, and we were surrounded by beautiful mountains. On our way, we passed the Mono Craters, the first of several volcanic formations we'd be seeing on this trip. These particular volcanoes have a history of explosive eruptions every 250 to 700 years, with the last one around 600 years ago. At the north end of the chain of volcanoes is Mono Lake. The most obvious volcanic formations are the limestone pillars, but the central island was formed from an eruption about 270 years ago. The lake also has no outflow, which has created unique conditions that are perfect for the Mono Lake brine shrimp, which attract millions of birds every year. Next to me is the highway, and our original plan was to head up and across the mountains into Yosemite. I actually had tickets booked for tomorrow morning, but the road's closed, so we're not able to do that. I guess we'll just have to come back another year. Thankfully, there is plenty of other stuff to do around here. As we followed the Pacific Crest Trail up into Bodie Hills, we came across the Bodie ghost town. It was probably one of the coolest and most complete ghost towns I've ever visited, with a ton to see. There are 110 structures, and most houses were in great condition and even had furniture and decorations. One reason for the condition could be the so-called Bodie curse. It is said that people who steal souvenirs from the town suffer great misfortune, and the rangers are quick to tell you about the letters they receive with items to return. The writers often describe how their lives have been thrown into turmoil since the theft. As with most ghost towns, Bodie boomed in 1876 with the mining of valuable ores, in this case gold, in the Bodie Hills. Within 3 years, the population peaked with up to 10,000 people. The town had churches, hotels, general stores, and a newspaper. Although it was labeled as a ghost town just a few decades later in 1915, it wasn't until 1942, when the post office and last mine shut down, that the last permanent residents left. From the town, we were heading north, climbing over 9,000 feet in elevation. We'd been warned we might run into some snow. This is definitely deep enough and close enough to the edge that I don't want to try going around here, but I noticed there's a bypass that goes all the way around it. Looks like you probably need 4-wheel drive and high clearance, which explains the sign back at the ghost town, but I've got 4-wheel drive and high clearance. So we should be able to get past this one. It does put us right out on the next one, but looking on the drone, that one didn't look nearly as bad. So I think we're good. I think we can get through. The bypass was shown on the map as a 4-wheel drive only road, and although it wasn't tough, it did get narrow in spots. Thankfully, we made it through with no problems, and were able to skip all of the snow. This is our campsite for tonight, and it's a good one, right on the edge of this beautiful reservoir with views off to the mountains in the distance. So a great little site, a little bit windy, but I think it'll be all right. So we're gonna set the tent up and get some dinner going. The following morning, I decided to test out my new geyser sponge bath system while Elizabeth worked. By noon, we were ready to head out. Coming down the hill there, we pulled over just to pull in the drone, and we stopped at this like beautiful little grassy area here. It's like a garden where someone has set up this little campsite, beautifully trimmed grass, but it's just out here in nature. So we did mark this one for Patreon people. We're not going to stay here, but when I was collecting the drone, I heard a hissing coming from one of our tires. Unfortunately, my back left tire is going flat quite quickly. So, I mean, this is a good spot to stop and change it. It's just a pain. I hate changing tires. One of the things that makes it so difficult is that I like to keep my recovery gear on the roof easily accessible, but the tire kit, I mean, I very rarely have to change tires, so it's underneath everything. So I've got to pull all this stuff out. Well, this is it. There is a gash in the sidewall, and it appears as though this almost new tire is not going to be repairable. So I guess we need to see if I can find some 35 somewhere in stock, somewhere around here, so I can pick up another spare, because I don't like going without one. Well, it's a good thing I washed this morning, just in time to get all dirty and sweaty again. But we're going to continue now. We're going to go over the mountains down to Carson City, and I'll start calling around trying to find a tire. Camp for tonight is actually at a campground because I am in desperate need of some laundry. I've actually been on the road for about 2.5 weeks. In that time, we got the vehicle wrapped, the lift, all the bumpers and the armor, that kind of stuff done. So I've been going for a while, and I have got to do laundry. So we're doing that tonight. And we figured, what better place to go to a campground than here at Lake Tahoe. That way we can camp right next to the beach there. We can wander down there and take a look around. So here we are. It's an expensive spot, but like I say, gotta do it. Gotta do laundry. If you don't want to miss the next episode, make sure you subscribe to the channel. In the last year, only 12% of my viewers were subscribed, and I'd love to make it to 100,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching.